Hello, and welcome to I Hate Talking, a podcast about talking, including etymology, frustrating topics, current events, and other random subjects. I'm Adam.
And I'm Steph. We are married, and we invite you into these discussions with us as we talk about the good and the bad of talking.
We hope you enjoy today's episode. Welcome to episode 30 of I Hate Talking.
Hi, everyone.
So we have a lot of extra material today on this episode.
I know you keep saying that.
And it is taking up a lot of room in our studio.
Yes, you're really struggling with this.
So for those that can't see us, which I guess would be everybody because this is not a video podcast currently yet.
Oh, no.
We have a number of books and additional computer equipment with us this particular episode. We have the complete and unabridged The Little and Ives Webster Dictionary and Home Reference Library.
Which isn't little at all. I mean, it's massive.
No, it is quite large, and there's actually an interesting story about this particular volume that perhaps we'll get into later in this episode.
Yeah, we can put photos in Instagram, too. If you don't know, we're on Instagram. You can follow us at I Hate Talking Podcast. Is it a podcast?
I believe this.
You'll find it if you just search I Hate Talking.
I believe this is a podcast, so I think it's I Hate Talking Podcast.
I think so.
The next volume we have is a reprint of the American Dictionary of the English Language written by Noah Webster from 1828.
So it's another Webster book.
Yes, so we'll have to look at the year in the larger volume here and see, because the one that I'm referencing right now is a first edition facsimile of the actual 1828 publication.
Is that our word for the day? Facsimile?
It is not, and we'll actually arrive at the word of the episode momentarily and actually look up that word in all these different volumes that we have.
Oh, fun.
And then we also have the new Strong's Exhaustive Concordance of the Bible.
Which isn't new, because I definitely used that all through college.
Well, I'm sure there was an original, but apparently this is the new, so we'll have to look again perhaps at the print date and publication history of this particular volume as well.
Sounds good.
And then lastly, we have a additional laptop today, and that will be used to look at the Google Books Ngram Viewer.
I don't even know what that is. What is that?
Well, stay tuned because we will find out in just a moment.
Okay. You came prepared today.
I did.
All right.
So the word or phrase of the episode is a singular word, hero.
Okay.
We've not done a very good job at exactly sticking to our word or phrase of the episodes over the last few episodes. We have always had a word or phrase of the episode, and we've given a definition, but we have not consistently talked about the etymology of the particular word or phrase.
True. Okay.
So this particular word or phrase comes about because we recently heard this word used in a public address and were told that we would hear about the etymology. But unfortunately, we only heard the definition. And as someone that tries to be very precise and accurate with my words and language, we want to perhaps enlighten some of those people that would actually like to learn about the etymology of the word hero.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. So we're refocusing. We're shutting down our ADHD and we're focusing on the topic at hand, hero.
Hero, both the definition and the etymology.
Okay. Let's do it.
So let's do it.
Oh my goodness. I can't even. Okay. I will put these in Instagram. I don't even know where did you keep this book?
It is in my personal library in the office.
I've never seen this before, I'm sure. It's massive. I think we've even talked on the pod about me not having the best eyesight. And I can't read those words. They are so tiny. I would have to get my glasses.
Yep. So this particular edition is quite large. We'll have to, like you said, try to take a photo of it and publish that and maybe add a banana or something for scale. And this particular volume is a fourth printing that was done in 1958. The original copyright is from 1957.
Wow.
So we can either jump straight to the definition, or perhaps you'd like to hear the story behind this particular volume.
Yeah, tell me the story first.
So when I was a little child, my parents took me to a bookstore that was going out of business, and the particular sale was $1 per book for any book. And somewhere in the back of this shop, I located this extremely large volume and asked the store proprietor if he would honor the $1 sale price. And indeed, he did. It did cause him to pause and consider whether this book was really going to be relinquished from his possession for one single dollar, but he did honor the sale price.
It probably weighed as much as you did back then.
It very may well be.
Wow. I still do not understand how I've never seen this book before in my life. Where have you kept it? It's huge.
It is very large.
And then I can't even read those words. They're so... Not only is this book massive, but the writing is so tiny.
And it's also in like a pre-Times New Roman font as well. So I don't even know what font this is, but it is not something very modern.
Right. Is it just typewriter? Is that what it is?
I don't know. Perhaps some investigation that we can do. All right. So the definition for hero from this particular volume reads noun. And it actually does give some of the etymology in the definition here. So it is from the Latin heroem, or heros, or even the Greek heros. And it means a man often worshipped as a demigod, celebrated by any community, especially among primitive peoples, for warlike exploits or credited with the introduction of arts. Or a person conspicuous for valor, fortitude, and endurance in danger and difficulty, and for such romantic qualities as outstanding personal strength and beauty, success in war, chivalry, magnanimity, perfect courtesy. Any person whose character, reputation, exploits, and personality strike the imagination and cause one to regard him as the ideal of manly virtue. Or a leading male character in a literary work or in a narrative. So, we've been using the Oxford Dictionary for a number of our definitions and even a little bit of the etymology of the particular words or phrases of previous episodes. And that is mainly because in terms of modern usage, the Oxford Dictionary, in my opinion, does stick a little bit more closely to a true definition in historic usage of words, whereas the modern day Merriam-Webster's dictionary has been, in my opinion again, co-opted by the modern lexicon and sort of just watered down in the current version of dictionary.com. So that is the reason that we've particularly used the Oxford Dictionary in previous episodes, but I think this definition is much more robust than even things you would find in modern dictionaries just from a few short decades ago.
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool. I think I got hung up on the word demigod. I'm thinking, like, is a hero really a demigod? So maybe we can talk about that later. I want to hear what you have next.
Well, let's go back further in time to 1828. Now, I am struggling a little bit because there are words in this particular dictionary that I would not expect and was expecting to get to the H-E-R-O, but there's actually quite a few of H-E-R-I words.
Like, just say one, because I can't even think of one off the top of my head.
Herition.
Oh, of course, obviously.
So it actually describes a hedgehog.
A herition is a hedgehog?
No, it is the act of when a hedgehog causes their hair to stand out or to bristle.
All right. Well, there you go. A bonus word for the episode.
All right. So here we arrive at the word hero in the 1828 facsimile, which describes the word as a noun, a demigod. So there you go. Just the very first definition that's there. It coincides in elements with noble, grand, a champion, and with the words lord or master. So a little bit on the etymology as well, from the Latin heroes and as well the Greek. And actually the Greek is the particular source of the usage around demigod, whereas the Latin is not as much. So then the particular dictionary gives 4 different definitions: a man of distinguished valor, intrepidity, or enterprise in danger, as a hero in arms. 2, a great, illustrious, or extraordinary person, as a hero in learning. 3, in a poem or romance, the principal personage, or the person who has the principal share in the transactions related, as Achilles in the Iliad, Ulysses in the Odyssey, and Aeneas in Aeneid. 4, in pagan mythology, a hero was an illustrious person, mortal indeed, but supposed by the populace to partake of immortality, and after his death to be placed among the gods.
These are intense definitions.
And I think we'd find that actually with a lot of the words that we do if we went back to these particular sources.
Well,
rather than, I guess now we've set a precedent, so I guess we'll have to make room in our studio for these particular volumes. So the final physical volume that we will consider is the new Strong's Concordance. So I guess as we referenced earlier, we got to find out why it is new. So the original Strong's Concordance is by Dr. James Strong in 1890. And then the new Strong's Exhaustive Concordance improves upon the original volume, according to the text that I'm reading here. And it also uses an entirely new computer-generated typesetting.
Ooh, so fancy. Like AI?
No, I think they're just referring to the font.
Okay.
And this came about in 1990 is the copyright date, though a number of the entries also appeared to be from 1984.
Okay. There you go.
Does it not have any?
I was about to say, is there any hero in scripture? I feel like maybe not.
Well, I think there would be, but apparently not actually described with the specific word hero.
The word. If you're using the definitions that we've heard for hero from the other two, then yes, I'm sure that you can cross-reference. But the word hero is probably not in the original text.
So it appears so, at least according to this exhaustive concordance. Mm-hmm. So the entries go from Hermonites, which is those inhabitants of Mount Hermon, which only has one usage. And it goes then to Herod of the Herodians, or Herod the Great, Herod Antipas, or Herod Agrippa. And then Herodians, Herodian, Herod's, Heron, hers, and herself.
Does it look up things like demigod or anything? Can you find that in there? Or is that too niche of a word also?
So the word demigod does not appear in this particular concordance.
Okay.
Now, it is also interesting to note that the word demon, which would be nearly adjacent to the word demigod, does not appear in this concordance either.
Huh. Okay. This is not going to be part of the podcast. Is Nephilim in there?
Well, before we jump to Nephilim, then let's look at just the word God, which is in this concordance and actually takes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So basically 15 pages of either God, gods in the possessive, or gods plural.
Is that going back to the Old Testament? Because I know that they often wouldn't use the word Yahweh for God. Like, how soon would God show up?
So this does use, I think, the English language. I think it actually referred to the King James Version.
Oh, okay.
So it does go back to the Old Testament.
So it would use God when it would say Yahweh.
Correct. So it will be interesting to see if the word Nephilim appears, because that would probably not be an English word, and I don't think that is the word that is used in the King James, or is it? Let's find out.
I feel like no, but let's find out.
So it does have Nephilim, but it has a cross-reference. So it does not give the passages that use that word. It just says see giants.
Yep. King James uses the word giants, where the ESV would use the word Nephilim. The King James also uses the word God in place of Lord, at least in Genesis 6.
And if you do go to giants in the concordance, it does have the Genesis 6 reference there.
There you go. Okay, well, that was a huge tangent, but got that figured out.
So then our final resource for this particular word or phrase is Google Ngram. And it's not the Enneagram.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. Google Enneagram. That's weird.
So the Google Books Ngram Viewer is actually a resource provided by Google that takes books written in various languages. Obviously, we're talking about books in English from all the way back in 1500 all the way through nearly the current day. This particular one appears to go up to 2022. And you can look at the usage over time of a variety of words or phrases. So we have plugged in hero to look at the usage over time, which actually is pretty infrequent in the very beginning years. Again, that may just be because there's not a lot of either books within the purview of this particular program, or it just really wasn't used that frequently. And then it starts to take off around the early 1700s and actually peaks around the year 1778.
Oh, just after the U.S.
Yes, so interesting to note that there may have been some global conflicts going on that would have been written about quite frequently that would contain heroes.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And then it steadily declined until 1917, where it sort of hit a new modern day low, and then sort of was flat until around the late 1990s, and actually increased in usage over the past 2 decades or so, peaking in the year 2017.
Wow, that's crazy. Is it continuing to go up, or is it starting to decline again?
So it does show a slight leveling off and actually starting to go down over the last 2 years, 3 years. So you can change the smoothing in here as well. So it seems like it peaked in actually 2013, has come down, and then actually went back up a little bit over 2021, 2022.
Right, that makes sense.
So a lot of Marvel movies in the early 2000s, followed by some heroes within the medical and other communities that perhaps serve their particular purposes over the course of COVID.
Right, that's what I thought of when you said 2021 was, all the COVID things, all the heroes there. If it's early 2000s or so when it peaked, would that be because of like 9/11 and all that with like the war and the heroes there? Or am I just really reading into that? Was it just simply the Marvel movies that got it popular?
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any particular spike around that time. It was just steadily increasing over the last 2 decades.
Okay, cool.
So we've talked about the definition and from a variety of sources. So very in-depth on this particular episode. But we touched on the etymology, but let's talk a little bit more in depth about the etymology of the word hero as well. So, like we said, it does have usage both in Latin and Greek. The primary one that seems to have more usage is from the Greek, which is the word heros or hero, and it literally means protector or defender. And it does often refer to those Greek mythological characters of divine ancestry, or later given divine honors in terms of their heroic ability and or actions.
Okay. That's where we get the demigods concept from earlier, right?
Exactly. They would be either a mythological or legendary figure, often of divine descent, or bestowed with some sort of divine power from the gods. And then it also does have Latin roots. According to a lot of the research that's been done, the Latin actually borrowed from the Greek in terms of that particular usage. So that's, again, why we see most of the usage primarily within the Greek first, and then the Latin borrowing that, but still had some variety of usage within that as well.
Okay, awesome.
And then there's actually some overlap as well with Scottish, where there was an old word in Scots for the word hero, which also means warrior, champion, or hero. And that often was used in terms of a lot of the wartime heroes and particular things that people did with regards to Scottish independence.
I was seeing if history has like a list of ultimate heroes, or you know what I mean? Like who are the heroes people would say overall?
Hercules,
I'm just getting a lot of like,
Spider-Man,
no, they're just like,
Batman,
I don't know, I guess. Lancelot.
William Wallace.
Well, are we doing your personal heroes, or I was looking up what are considered the ultimate heroes?
Well, that is our final thing that we will be talking about is personal heroes, because I am yours, because we have
You're my hero.
yes, because
Aw.
we were able to save the chickens from the possum.
That's true. Oh no, you want to tell that story?
Well, I've been doing a lot of the talking, so I think you can share the story and I'll fill in some gaps.
Okay, you are my hero in very many ways. But recently, yes, we have a bunch of chickens, and they're very well enclosed and well taken care of. I believe they're happy and healthy. And the other night, our dog just started losing his mind, barking and trying to go crazy, which is not necessarily like him. So you went outside and you saw that there was a possum in the chicken run. The chickens were luckily in their coop already, door closed. He was trying to get in there. So our dog was trying to get them, and then you had to go on the hunt for the possum. And I was very scared. Possums, for some reason, scare me really bad. We've had a couple try to get our chickens. I don't like when you look at them and they look like they're smiling at you. I know they're not, but there's like this smirk that seems so condescending, or I don't know. I don't like them. I don't like being around them. So I was very thankful that you took care of it. And all I had to do was take care of our dog and get him in the house so he didn't disrupt any more of your heroic actions.
There you go. So, and it was actually our second encounter with a possum in the chicken run. And who knows if it was the same possum? It very well may have been. We did give that particular possum that we first encountered a out, basically let him go on his way once we cleared him from the chicken area and got him outside of the fence and onto his way into the forest. And this particular second incursion was met with more force just because he had one chance. Again, maybe not the same possum, but they had their chance, and this time we were going to protect our chickens.
Possums as a whole in the universe had their chance, and now we are protecting our chickens, is what you're saying.
Precisely. And personally, I don't know if I have that much of a problem with possums, and that's probably why we gave the first possum the benefit of the doubt, even though there was that particular incursion.
But do you agree they smirk at you?
They're just happy to see you.
No, they're so condescending. They're like, look what I'm doing to your precious pets.
But they actually are relatively clean creatures and will help with control of pests like ticks and other unwanted insects. And they will typically not really cause too much damage to your plant life or yard, unlike like armadillos or something, which would fall more in the category of something that I would want to avoid rather than a possum.
Right, yeah. No, if I have to do one or the other, I definitely would have a possum because armadillos carry disease and stuff, potentially, right?
Supposedly, but I guess you have to eat them, is what I've heard. But who knows? But did not have to deal with any armadillos in this particular case. So we took care of the possum, dispatched the possum, saved the chickens, and were the hero of the day.
Yeah, you were. And I think the chickens understood because they knew something was happening because they were noisier than normal while you were doing it all. So I think you did save all those little lady chickens and even our roosters and our family. And one of our sons is desperate. He made you promise to let him go possum hunting with you sometime. The very next day he woke up and he's like, why did Dad not send me to go possum hunting? I was like, we don't do this every night. This isn't a hobby. Daddy had to protect the chickens. And he was in on the chicken run.
Precisely. So perhaps next time we'll have some additional heroes go.
Yeah, you'll have a partner.
Take care of the possums.
Much better than me that stood by the door and just watched you.
Indeed. So before we adjourn, I think we would be remiss if we did not mention one more definition of the word hero, and that is a submarine sandwich, also commonly known as sub, hoagie, Italian, grinder, wedge, or hero. Why do they call it a hero sandwich? Well, we'll ask the almighty Google.
Oh, no.
Legend has it that the term hero originated in New York City, where Italian immigrants who worked at local delis and sandwich shops would assemble these hefty sandwiches for their customers. The name hero was said to be inspired by the heroic appetites of the workers who devoured these substantial meals.
Okay, sure.
Sure. There we go. So a bit of a different episode, a lot more time spent on our particular word or phrase of the episode, along with a number of references from our different volumes, but also some anecdotal stories about heroes themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So from your friends at I Hate Talking, until next time, remember, it is only through talking that we begin the journey to understanding.